Hello and welcome to video lecture series in political science. Today we are going to discuss chapter 3 titled as US Hegemony in World Politics from your textbook Contemporary World Politics. For understanding, we will divide this chapter into 4 parts. In these 4 parts, we will discuss about the concept of hegemony. We will discuss that is the US, United States, a hegemon. We will also discuss about the US as a hard power or a military power, and we will also discuss dimensions of structural power and the United States as a soft power. In the course of discussion, we will also discuss about that can US hegemony be ever confronted, and we will discuss about the relationship between India and the US. Today we will begin with what is meant by hegemony. Now, hegemony is the capacity or ability to direct or influence the behavior of others in the course of events. It is the exercise or assertion of power over others. Power is a central concept in world politics. You might have come across this concept of power in many ways in daily life. We often say that someone is powerful or he can get his work done using his power. In any social setting where 2 or more people or groups or communities are involved, there is a quest for gaining power among people. What do we mean by this power in everyday life? Power is the ability of the individual or a particular group to influence or change the course of events and happenings in the desirable fashion. What he or she desires is the outcome. Not only gain power, but individuals tend to retain power. In the field of IR, international relations, power is a contested concept. What do we mean by contested concept? Is that there is no clear-cut definition of power. In general sense, power means or is understood as control over resources, control over other people, and control over outcomes or the results also. Power can be economic, power can be political, power can be military, or power can be cultural superiority as well. Now, in the international system, countries are in a constant struggle to gain and retain power over one another. There is a asymmetrical, which means unequal distribution of power among nations in the global system. Some countries have greater power, some countries have lesser power. Every unit here or every nation attempts to gain or control influence over other nations in the global system. In the world politics, countries have different degrees of power depending upon their resources and capabilities. Somebody has greater military might, somebody has lesser military might. So, to understand world politics, it is very important to understand distribution of power among various countries in the world or in the global system. Now, what happened after the end of Second World War? 2 superpowers emerged on the world stage. Both of them were very strong military powers. But there was intense rivalry between these 2 powers. They influenced the countries which aligned with them, and they also influenced countries to align with them, that is, to stand with them or agree with the ideology that they had put forward, the debate between socialism and capitalism. Both of them had strained or uneasy relationships with each other for more than 3 decades, around 30 years. They exerted control over resources and conditions all over the world and influenced nations in as many ways as possible. Now, they were so powerful that any of their moves had the capacity to change the world politics. They could have triggered war, they could have ended war. This era is called as Cold War that you have discussed in the previous chapter. Now, the world remained bipolar for many years, and the strained relationship between these 2 countries continued to exist till the disintegration of the USSR. The world was taken by surprise when the Soviet Union collapsed. But the collapse of Soviet Union changed the nature of world politics forever. With the collapse of Second World, the nature of world politics changed radically, that is, dramatically or massively. This collapse had a large number of consequences. What were the immediate consequences of this collapse? The immediate ones were that the divide between Eastern and Western bloc disappeared. The Cold War came to an end. Countries of the Central and Eastern Europe became free from Soviet dominance, and the constituting republic of the USSR also got liberated. And all these newly independent countries, they adopted market form of economy and democratic form of polity. Apart from these consequences, one important consequence was that the world became unipolar. The dominance of a single power is called as unipolarity. Polarity comes from the word pole that you use in physics, North Pole and South Pole of planet Earth. When the other power ceased to exist or disappeared, the US, the United States, remained the only unchallenged superpower, and in fact it emerged stronger than before. And when the international system is dominated by a single power or a hyperpower, it is more appropriate to describe the power using the concept hegemony. Now, hegemony, as discussed, means to influence or control the other countries, groups or people. It is social, cultural, ideological or economic influence exerted by the dominant group. Now, although 1991 may be seen as a turning point in the history of world politics and emergence of the US as a hegemon, but it is important to understand two things. First, that the US hegemony did not emerge in 1991 only. It predates, it dates back to the years of the World War. The US was a strong power and it was in commanding position throughout the events of the Second World War. And after the end of Second World War, the US provided Marshall aid for the reconstruction and development of war-torn countries in the Western Europe. And it was a leader also of the Western Bloc. The US was supporting the war, Second World War. It was part of the Allied forces. But the US was not attacked directly other than the Pearl Harbor because it was located away from the European continent. Second important thing to remember is that the US did not start behaving like a hegemonic power from 1991 onwards, say the very next day after the collapse of the USSR. The tendencies of the US acting as a hegemonic power became clearly only in the next few years to come. Now, let us understand the important dimensions, three different dimensions of US hegemony. In other words, the areas where hegemony, the US hegemony is visible or is exercised. These dimensions are hegemony as a hard power, second, hegemony as a structural power, and the third dimension, hegemony as a soft power. Let us understand these dimensions one by one and look at the events and situations that demonstrate how US has been a hegemon or it has been acting or exercising influence over the others. Let us begin with hegemony as a hard power. Now, the term hard power describes a nation's ability to use economic incentives or sanctions and military strength to influence the behavior of other actors. Hard power is usually measured in terms of the military capacity or military might of a country. Hard power strategies includes action intended towards forcing or coercing or threatening other nations into compliance, that you do this or we will attack you, to make them follow what the power, the hegemon desires. Say if I want to get something done, I will use force. One of the most obvious exercise of hard power in international system is the use of military intervention. It entails quite simply the use of military might to attain one's objective or attack somebody if in case you want something to be get done. The US can be called as a hard power because of its overwhelming and unchallenged superiority in terms of its military power. Scholars say that today American military dominance is both absolute and relative. What do we mean by this? How US is both absolute and relatively a military dominant force. When we say that American military strength is absolute, we mean that the military capabilities of the US can reach any point or place or target on planet Earth accurately without any error. Without any margin of error, the US defense system can cripple the enemy lethally. That is, it can cause maximum damage through its accuracy even before anybody can react. At the same time, its own forces are sheltered to the maximum extent and in the manner from the possible dangers of war. Now, what is the relative capacity? The relative capacity of the US is as good as its absolute capacity, which means no other power in the world can match the capacity of the US military might. The United States spends more on its military capabilities than the combined spending of next 10 powers in the hierarchy or the rank. The US spends hundreds of billions of dollars on its armed forces per year and the massive amounts of research and development. In 2009, the US military budget accounted for approximately 40% of the global arms spending all over the world. How much is spent? Out of that, 40% US alone was spending. The money is spent in preparing for various special operations and military interventions like counter-terrorism or providing assistance to allies without sending thousands of ground troops or development of high equipment, satellites, etc. Now, let us look at this picture. This shows on right hand side the combined budget of the US is equivalent to the defense spending by major countries where China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, France, UK, Germany and Japan combinedly spend as much as the US alone spends. The US is equipped with the best of arms and ammunition to fight in any kind of terrain or conditions. Defense spending accounts for approximately 20% of the entire federal spending in the US, which is as much as it spends on its social security or the combined spending on the medical care or health of the people. The gap between the US and the rest of the world is not just quantitative, that US spends more money and the entire world is spending less money. The gap is qualitative as well. What do we mean by that? By qualitative, we mean that no one in the world has been able to match the technological gap that exists between the US defense system and the rest of the world. Now, what do we mean by this? US is far better in quality and variety of equipment that no one can think of. Research and development in the military field is beyond any imagination. Such as Washington's military scientists are working on how to trigger cells to regrow the limbs for soldiers hurt by enemy bombs or landmines. They are also spending money for improving the efficiency and energy in creation in fighting in various terrains. Now, soldiers would be able to run at very fast speed. They would be able to carry large weights and go without sleep for many days together. Now, this is the unmanned pilotless aircraft called as drone, which has been used by the US in many of its operations, military interventions in Afghanistan, in Middle East, in Iraq. Now, again, as you can see, this is picture of a soldier and lot of money is being spent on research and development where they are trying to develop many things such as helmets, contact lenses, eye gear to see in the night. They are also trying to regrow the severed limbs or destroyed limbs and working on improving the efficiency and energy level of the soldiers. American hegemony as a hard power can be seen in the wars and conflicts that have happened in the last 2 decades. Let us look at some of these conflicts or wars to understand the role of US in them. Now, let us look at Iraq war for a while. What is Iraq war? In the early August 1990, Iraqi leader Saddam Hussein ordered the invasion and occupation of neighboring Kuwait. The neighboring countries of Kuwait such as Saudi Arabia and Egypt called on the US and other Western countries to intervene. As you can see in the picture, Kuwait is a city state. It's a small state surrounded by Saudi Arabia on one side and Iraq on the other side. Kuwait was invaded by Iraq and the help was sought by Saudi Arabia. And here you can see the 5th president of Iraq, that is Saddam Hussein. Now, a series of diplomatic talks to convince Iraq to quit Kuwait failed. When Saddam Hussein did not agree to the demands of the UN Security Council to withdraw from Kuwait by mid-January, the UN decided to liberate Kuwait by force. They thought that we will send military and get the state liberated. This was one of the decisions regarding war that was taken after a long deadlock of the Cold War. During the Cold War, nothing happened, no military intervention happened. Now, having decided to use force, the Persian Gulf War began with a massive US-led air offensive known as Operation Desert Storm. We will discuss about the first Gulf War in greater detail in the next part of this chapter. To conclude this part, let us summarize what we discussed today. In this part, we discussed about what is meant by hegemony. What is hegemony in international relations? We discussed about struggle for power between different nations, and we discussed that is US a hegemon and the emergence of US as a unipolar power or a sole power after the fall of or the collapse of communism and the USSR. We briefly discussed the military capacity of the US, which is both in relative sense and in absolute sense greater than many of the powers next in the hierarchy. In the next part of this chapter, we will discuss about the Iraq War, the details of the Iraq War, and the other military operations or interventions carried by the US to show its military might. Till then, you can enjoy reading this part of the chapter. Thank you.